Welcome to the Armchair Warrior. My name is Rick Layton. One thing we all have in common is we all love superheroes. Some love Batman, some love Superman. Well, my favorite is a real life superhero, and he happens to be our special guest tonight. I'd like to introduce to you the Flash, Corey Miller. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, pretty good. Hanging in there.
I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah.
Well, before we get started, I want to take just a minute or two to talk about why I started the Armchair Warrior. Started it about 3 months ago. You've known me for a long time. Of course, ever since you've met me, I've been in the wheelchair. So 27 years in the wheelchair. Makes life pretty tough. And so I thought I'd start this channel just as a way to encourage others that have disabilities, not necessarily just wheelchairs, but disabilities, depression, whatever, to try to encourage them to stay active. One way I do that is just kind of following me around a little bit. I'm a little league baseball coach, so we have a little bit of baseball stuff on there. I know you're a hunter, so I'm a big deer hunter.
Yeah.
Not a very good one, but an avid deer hunter. So not only am I going to try to bow hunt this year, but I'm going to try to self film the bow hunting. So
Oh, wow.
this is going to be some must see TV, let me tell you. So if the YouTube doesn't work out, I fully expect if I can get 6 or 8 episodes up, I fully expect some deer hunting show or some reality TV or somebody to be calling me says somebody needs to take advantage of this deer hunting mess, what I call deer hunting. So, but all joking aside, most of my channel is about arm wrestling. Of course, I'm 35 years in the sport. Been traveling all over the country for 35 years. Met a lot of great people like yourself. And I've been blessed to become friends with some of the best arm wrestlers on the planet. So I just thought I would give it a try. I'm going to do an interview series, and I'm going to call it From Rookies to Rock Stars. So tonight we're going to start off with a rock star. That's why you're here, because in my mind you're the best lightweight arm wrestler in North America. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how old you are, and how long you've been pulling.
Well, I'm 37 now. I've been on wrestling just about 20 years, give or take a couple months. Uh, Live in Cheyenne, Wyoming, but I'm not from Wyoming, but I've been here longer than anything else, so I claim Wyoming, I guess.
Where are you from originally?
I was born in Illinois, about an hour from where John Brzezink's born.
I got you.
But I moved out here when I was about 9 years old, so I've been here pretty much most of my life. But my whole family's from Michigan, so I kind of claim Michigan as where I'm from type thing. But I've been here most of my life though.
I got you. I got you. So I guess this weekend's pretty special. You've been invited to Engin Terzi's East versus West four, so you're heading to Istanbul, Turkey.
Yeah,
That's going to be, let's see, so everybody will know, that's Saturday, August the 6th, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You can find it on Core Sports. So it is a pay per view. What, 12.99, something like that? Sound about right?
I think they bumped it to $15 now.
Okay, well, that's still a deal. 16 awesome matches. So, yeah,
Yeah,
probably 3 hours worth. So that's a heck of a deal if you ask me. So you're pulling Daniel. How do you say his last name?
I'm horrible with names, but they Provinsky or something like that. But I just call him Porcupine because I have no idea how to say it.
Okay, all right. Well, there you go. There you have it. So I know a little bit about him. I stumbled on his YouTube channel probably about a year or so ago. He had something called How to Develop a World Class Hook or something like that. And I got
Yeah,
pretty intrigued with that. I watched about all of those videos. I He's a super strong guy apparently, ton of endurance, but his style doesn't look like it matches up too good with you because he seems to, if he has a weakness, it's his hand and his speed. So I fully expect you to take advantage of that. What are your thoughts going in?
no, he definitely is super strong. He bangs with just about everybody in a slow pull, and doesn't matter what weight or size or anything. He has power sideways. Um, but you're right. He's not very fast. He doesn't react fast, and he doesn't have the greatest hand when it comes to controlling somebody when they do go fast. So I think that's kind of one of the reasons why they matched us up in the first place, because he's not typically known for um, being able to control speed guys. But then again, he's never pulled anyone like me, so that's it's kind of a different approach to beating him, I guess.
Right.
Most people want to slow pull and top roll him real slow, or slow pull and beat him in inside in the hook. They don't ever win those matches because he lasts forever.
Yeah, he's a grinder, boy. I mean, he gets in there and he digs. So, you do you feel like you can put him away pretty quick?
Well, I mean, I know I can go fast. Everyone knows I can go fast. Um, it's I've been practicing more about the fact of if it stops rather than being fast, um, and just being able to convert to a move that I know I can control rather than hang out and burn myself out.
Right, right.
So
Yeah, because if
I've been working a lot of that right now, just trying to and it was kind of it's funny because it was kind of like a stemming from pulling Giannis. I was working some moves to accommodate having my hand break back a little bit on the hit, but now with him, it kind of just merged into more of a side pressure hold move. So we'll
I
see
saw
if
one of
that
your videos when
comes
you're
down to
working
that.
with Isaac, like you.
Yeah, yeah, yep. I've been working a lot of endurance, even though I don't feel like I'm gonna need it. But if it comes down to it, I've been working that quite a bit.
Yeah, well, you
So
generally, when you get their hand, you generally don't have a whole lot of trouble pinning people. So,
no, that's the thing is I don't like. I imagine this match would be something similar to when I pulled Eduardo, where he's trying to power hold me. He can't control it. It goes too fast. I flop him over too quickly, and it three matches straight through.
right.
But
Now that was 2016.
uh, yeah, 2016, 2018, somewhere in there.
Yeah, because
I
that's
don't
when
remember.
because you came down, you flew in and practiced with us about 2 or 3 weeks before that match, if I remember right.
Yep.
Um, I remember three things about that. I told my wife, I said, "All right, I got a buddy flying in from Wyoming." So of course she goes into wife mode, and she's gonna cook this 20-course meal for you or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
nah, he's got to cut weight. He's not gonna be able to pound down cakes and pies and everything that you're gonna be making him. And then I remember we got a local guy that it doesn't seem to matter. He did pull for quite a few years, but he actually got better after he quit arm wrestling in tournaments and stuff. And we would bring him in about once a year. We'd get some super stud come in and practice with us. And I'd say, hey, man, how about showing up and see what you can do with this guy? And I mean, without fail, he would crush every one of them. I mean, this is a guy that beat Mike Celieris twice in a tournament. And I
Yeah.
told Mike before the tournament that the guy was going to beat him. I said, you're never going to see him. You've never seen him before, and you're never going to see him again. I said, but he's going to beat you today. And the only reason I tell you that is I want you to know that it's coming. I don't want you to be surprised. Well, this guy whacked Mike in the straps, or the first time without the strap, Mike couldn't get loose, and the second time he whacked him in the strap. Well, we called him down there that night, and you just toyed with him. So
Is that
apparently, you had a super good style matchup for him because I mean, you played with him pretty easy. And then I remember you and I pulling, and I really thought as one of the reasons that you're as good as you are. You were kind of letting everybody get in their spot wherever they wanted to be. And when I got in that one particular spot, we call it the
mm,
goose. When I got in the goose, I was, I could hold you. And then it
yeah.
didn't matter how many matches you pulled and come back to me again, wore out. You could have beat me 45 different ways, but you kept going back to that same move, trying to pin me in that same move, working on, I guess what you perceived as a weakness or whatever. But uh,
Yeah.
that's exactly why you're as strong as you are because, you're just not going to your power spot every single time.
Yeah, there's no reason to practice that stuff and practice when you get the opportunity to pull guys like you or whoever. It's about letting them get where they need to be in their best spot and then try to beat them. So that makes you a better arm wrestler, not trying to do your same thing over and over and over again.
Exactly. And we finally learned that in our practice after 35 years. I mean, the first 10 years, everybody wanted to tear everybody's arm off in practice. And then now it's like nobody cares. They all realize it's just practice. They're just trying to help their partners get better. So,
Yeah.
You know, I hurt my bicep back about, well, I've hurt it twice, and I had a 4 month period in between that I got to pull a little bit, but I hadn't pulled much in about 10 months. But we had a really good practice last week. Eat all the meat off my elbows. You can tell I'm got girlish because um, I used to get arm wrestle on a brick wall, but man, it took me about 3 matches. My elbow was eat up. So we had a good little practice tonight. So it's coming. Muscle memory is a cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know if you're a prediction guy, but if you are, you care to make a prediction on how this match is going to turn out?
In my mind, I would like 3-0 because I don't want to have a single actual match. But um, I will predict that the first match I smash them like usual, like my normal. I usually beat everyone in the first match, and then it's whether they can wake up or not. And and typically guys like him don't wake up because they don't have a wake up mode. They don't have something to change to.
Right.
So he doesn't really have a top roll or anything else. He has a dragged out pulling back move, but that's not going to help him. He's going to have to hope to God that he can stop me somewhere on the table. But I don't know. I really think I can beat him 3-0. Now everyone overseas doesn't think I can beat him one time. So I mean,
Well,
I guess
they didn't think
one
you
win's
could win.
better than nothing.
Yeah, they didn't think you would get a win against Giannis either. And I mean, and as soon
Yeah,
as you turned him, I mean, he went straight down.
yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing. Is like even though some people there was remote chances that I'd even get a win, but they never thought it would even last that long after the win. So to be able to hold Giannis enough to where he had to work and change angles and everything else, that's most people get into his spot out there and then he's golden, and he can never like fully get there until like he was all the way across the table and then he was able to beat it. But like with this kid, he's not going to have that spot. It's going to be just whether he can hold on or slow it down enough to be able to do something. So I
Right.
gotta, I gotta just smack it 3 times and call him good and get off that table.
Next, like a barbershop, ain't that what they say? Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm really excited. Well, I'm excited about a whole bunch of matches. I mean, trying to figure out where Derek's at as far as the big boys go. John, man, I'm amazed at what John has done. I mean, I've been around since almost the beginning of John. I've been around since John was really John, and all my new guys at practice, they when he first come back, they're seeing a shell of John where they're starting to see that John is actually back. I mean, he's getting to be the real deal again. It's coming quick.
Mhm. Yeah, no, he looks good. And the Todd match, I think, is actually pretty awesome too. I don't know if you've seen their YouTube videos yet, but they posted 2 little rapping YouTube videos of themselves.
I
It's
did.
freaking hilarious.
We get to see who gets to rub each other's heads. So that ought to be interesting. So
Yeah,
well, tell me now, tell me a little bit about. I know you've made a bracket system that's been out for a long time, an
yeah.
electronic bracket system, and then you've got the AERS. What does that stand for?
Aries, it stands for Arm Wrestling Elo Rating System. So it's a I don't like to call it a ranking because it's not a ranking per se, but it does rank you, I guess. But it's more of a rating based on how you are against someone else or a group of people. So in this term is it's a rating of how you are on the division, based on like if I pull 54, 76, 98, pro, amateur, blah blah blah. It's going to be able to rate you against everyone else in that same rating. So I may be rated in every single weight class. You may be rated in X amount, XYZ weight class, right, left, whatever. But it uses the Elo system, which I don't know if you know what Elo is or not, but Elo has been around for 50, 60 years in chess, and is a mathematical formula to figure out your percentage to win. So for an example, let's say both of us are the same value. So you're a 1500 and I'm a 1500. It would use that formula to figure out the odds to win. So on a 15 to 1500 person, the odds to win is basically 50%, 50-50.
Right.
Now when you start crossing like you're a 1600 and I'm a 1400, the odds to win for you is fairly high, like 90 to 100% of the time you're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me, it would be like a 10% chance of winning. Now, for me to win that match, I gain more points versus you winning that match, which you're supposed to win, you gain less points, almost nothing.
Right.
Um, but as you're closer to 50-50, you gain the same amount of points. And obviously, the farther you get away from each other, the less and more you can gain. And there is a maximum amount of points you can gain per win. And then eventually down the road, what this will be able to do is stats. So you'll be able to stat behind how many win losses I have per weight class, per whatever. It will also tell you who, statistically speaking, is the better, more consistent puller based on any weight class you're in. Um, and it will also be able to do cross comparisons. So if I wanted to see how good I am compared to you, it will eventually be able to do that as well. Not so much like you're a 1600 and I'm a 1200. It would literally be able to take the two and say, here's his win losses, here's his win losses, super matches, round robins, regular tournament stuff, whatever. And it's gonna be able to take those stats and kind of cross compare them and maybe do like a little teeter bar of who the better person is, in certain scenarios. So you can see where this is eventually going to grow to, where rankings that are right now, which are strictly opinion based,
Right.
um,
Are
is
not
going to
going
go
to
away, and that will eventually turn into an actual method of precise mathematics for figuring it out.
That's cool. That and the guys that do brackets, that's the hardest thing in the world. I mean, trying to figure out or rankings, I should say, the people that do rankings. I mean, it's nearly impossible
Yeah.
because you beat me, I beat this guy beats you, so how do you rank that,
It's no different than like football or college football or anything else. The college football, if number one loses to number 15, number one doesn't drop to, 16, and number 15 doesn't come up to number one. That's not how that works. But for some reason in rankings right now, that's how everything works right now. They'll move everyone from one to, they'll flip flop them. It's crap like that. But, um, typically in like college football is like if one loses, he'll drop to like 4 or 5, and the 15 guy would jump up like 10 spots. He'll jump to like 6, but he won't pass that guy. And
Right.
that's kind of what this will do as well. It'll say, like the jumpers things of the world who come in and pull one super match and that's it. They don't pull any tournaments, nothing else. They're not going to go from 16th place to number one. They
Right.
have to prove and consistently beat 2, 3, 4, 5. They got to consistently beat those guys, and then they will jump to number one. And then once they're number one, they got to keep pulling number twos and threes and fours and fives. Otherwise, they will slowly just not gain enough points anymore. If number one's pulling up the 20s and below, he gains minuscule 0.1, 1 point, whatever. He won't move very much. He might stay where he's at, but he's not going to move. Now, if number two is going out there beating number 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth, he's going to slowly gain on you, and he's going to probably surpass number one, which is what we want to have happen.
Right. Yeah, you can
So,
prove it on the table, not wait 6 months and do a super match and win that
yeah,
one and now you're number one or whatever. So
right. And this will account for super matches, tournaments, round robins, you name it, triple elimination. It will do it all. And it's going to be able to do it by states and everything else. And the sky's the limits, for the system in general. And
so
then as far as my system goes, the bracket system, we've built it to be fully in the back end. So when you complete your brackets, you just send to me, which eventually will be all automated. But right now, you send me the bracket, I press an export button, it shoots it into the system, and we upload it. And for the time being, because as you know, you've been around long enough, um, there's tons of people still doing paper. There's tons of people doing other digital systems, and there's tons of people doing who knows what. And I'm taking all that stuff in manually and importing it in manually right now. So that I'm not expecting anyone to do anything other than just to send me the bracket.
Yeah, just get you the data so you can load it in the system.
Right. Yeah. I'll do all the heavy lifting if they just get it to me. The hardest part is getting people to get me stuff. So, you know, that's really where the trick is.
Right. Yeah. Anything worth doing, it's going to take a while. It's not going to happen overnight. So people will eventually get on board with it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, once they see their name and lights, they're gonna want to be on it and do what they can to help out. It's just we haven't pushed a list out yet, and we want to. We just don't want it to be too early where everyone's like, "Whoa, why is that guy not? Why am I not ranked?" Or you know, I only
Right.
have I think 30 brackets done or 30 tournaments done so far. About somewhere around 10,000 plus matches, which sounds like a lot. Don't get me wrong, sounds like a crap ton, but it's it's nowhere near
Yeah, in the big
enough.
scheme of things, that's not a lot.
No, when you think about United States probably runs what 100 plus tournaments a year all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I need all 100 plus tournaments a year for the last 5 years, and then I would feel better. And I have probably 1/8 of that right now.
Right. Well, I haven't run Get a Grip in years. You never made it down to one of those, but we had some really good tournaments. It was kind of like Michigan State. I mean, it was about one of the biggest ones in the country that wasn't a nationals or whatever. We had a ton of good pullers there. But I'm very much considering getting back in either doing it or doing some kind of super match system like Michael Todd's doing or something like that. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. If you get back into it, let me know, and I'll work something out. Get you on either digital. I have a super match system too. Not that it's not that fancy, and I also have a round robin one as well.
cool. Yeah, we'll do that. So, well, I'm not going to hold you up a whole lot. I know you got to get your rest. A couple more quick questions. Are you more into, I mean, I know I've seen some of your training videos on your YouTube channel. Are you more of a arm wrestling guy? Are you more of a weightlifting guy? Or, what's your normal week?
Mm, I would I would say that I'm less of a weight room person and more of a arm wrestling and band type person. I will use bands and um, cables and stuff like that. But typically I arm wrestle and do bands and stuff way more often than I do regular style lifting, weightlifting.
Right, right. So if you're doing cables, if you are actually doing, moving weight or whatever, are you more of a high rep guy or a low rep guy? Are you a one rep max guy? Where do you fall in that spectrum? What do you feel like works the best?
I am definitely not a high rep person. I am more of a 8 reps or less, and typically I would say I'm in the 3 to 5 range. Almost everything I do, it's max effort each time for 5 reps. Kind of the West barbell type of scheme, but
Right,
with bands and cables. So everything I do is extremely heavy, extremely hard. 5 reps, 3 or 4 sets, and if it's bands, it's cranking that 5 or 6 times and letting my arms sit for a second. 3 to 5 times, but it's got to be hard. The only time I ever do lightweight, like extremely amount of reps, which would be like 20, would be like for recovery stuff, just like pumping my arm up and stuff. But typically, I don't do a ton of that. It's mainly if I'm going to do something, it's going to be heavy and it's going to be hard to do.
right. So if you had to give a tip to a new puller, obviously they got to get with somebody that knows how to arm wrestle and teach them how to arm wrestle. But if you were gonna say, all right, if I was training my son, 16 years old, and he's gonna start arm wrestling, how many days a week would you tell him to pull? How many days a week would you tell him? Just give me a real quick scenario on a general idea of what you would suggest for a new puller.
So yeah, it's a hard one for me because I started from not having a training partner and stuff like that for about you know 9 months to a year. I didn't have any training partners, so I learned arm wrestling from watching videos and lifting and doing cables and whatnot. So for me, the easiest way to learn is to have someone there and pull at least once a week and do bands and stuff the rest of the time. um, Mainly lock positions, increasing the ability to hold pressure, holding locks, holding static pressure. That kind of stuff builds your arm up a lot faster in the beginning, and it gets you stronger quicker because you're used to holding a pressure and make sure it gets heavier and heavier and heavier. Um, so it's not about like going to the gym and bench pressing 10, 10 times 500 or 500 pounds, whatever. It's about, okay, my one rep max of curl is 60 pounds. I'm going to take a band that does 60 pounds and I'm going to pull it up and hold it for as long as I can and increase that tendon until that tendon gets super strong, and then arm wrestle once a week and work on the ability to hold the pressure and move and do something with it.
Makes
I
perfect.
mean, it probably takes a good 6 to 8 months of increasing that tendon, either in the elbow, wrist, shoulder, whatever, before you'll start really noticing that the strength comes in because you're able to hold pressures back.
I got you. Well, when we started, there wasn't a whole lot of information out there. I told somebody the other day the AAA had the Arm Bender magazine, which come out about every 3 months,
Oh
I
yeah,
believe. And we were at the mailbox, every day, like a kid at Christmas, waiting on the Arm Bender magazine to come out. It's about that thick, and it's got
yeah,
one article with Cobra or somebody in it, and a VCR tape you could buy. And we just had to figure it out. But back then, my family owned the bowling center, local bowling alley. And I mean, we literally arm wrestled 7 days a week. I mean, I know I was in my early 20s, but man, I improved so much in the first year. It was unbelievable. Now, I heard all the time from pulling
yeah.
that outer tricep was just killing you, but
Well,
didn't.
that's the thing is if you're gonna arm wrestle, like I used to arm wrestle a lot too when I first started, but like I said, I never had training partners, so my idea of arm wrestling was like me screwing around with my dad, and but I would arm wrestle at tournaments probably 2 to 3 times a month, so I was going to events all the time and or arm wrestling all the time, but my training consisted of bands and cables and whatnot like that. But yeah, you're probably right there. The more you can pull, the better. But if you're not learning to pull properly, it doesn't really help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, that wasn't necessarily a great plan. That's just what we did. We didn't
Yeah,
know any better. I mean, we would literally go work out on a Friday night before the tournament on Saturday because we thought we were getting stronger. How stupid, we just didn't know any better.
yeah. No, there's some people whose arms work like that, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah, no, it probably wasn't a good plan, but all right, real quick, who's been your biggest rival over the years?
Hmm, that is a tough one. For a long time it was Jeff Hale when I was 154, range, and
Hmm.
then when I got out of the 54s, man, I don't know. That's left-handed. I guess it's Devin. I've been back and forth with Devin Bear for a long time.
Hmm.
Doesn't help that he's in my same state and I get to get beat on by him all the time. So,
Yeah.
uh, but right-handed, I haven't really had one in a while, so I don't know. I'd have to be someone heavier probably.
Right. I
I
don't know
don't
if
know.
you saw it, but I made that video on you and John Brzezinski the other day where you got the foul. You did. I mean, if you did foul, it was so little I couldn't see it, but John did foul. So
Yeah,
that was pretty interesting.
it,
Just something to kind of spur some interest.
I can always get John pretty close to the pad. It's just he's always got that little quirk right at the bottom, just like Giannis did, except for extremely stronger. And yeah, he can always get that little bit of turn on me at the bottom, and I can never get through his arm right there. But I can always smack him pretty far. He can never feel it coming. But he's so damn strong it doesn't matter anyways.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. I pulled him in an overall at Myrtle Beach, and he started with Dave Randall. And you remember how good Dave
Oh
was.
yeah,
He let Dave get completely on top of him with the shoulder, and just sat there and held him for about 45 seconds and then just pulled through Dave. Then he went to the next guy. Then he went to the next guy. It was like 3 or 4 guys. And he does like a minute with every one of them. And then he
Mhm.
gets down to Chad Silvers, I think was 176 at the time and a beast. And he let Chad get all over him. And I thought, he may not come back out of this. Well, same thing, just eventually just pulled right through Chad. Then it was Matt Harris in the straps. Pulled through Matt Harris after about another minute. Well, by the time he got to me, he had pulled about 10 straight minutes of matches. And I thought, this man can't possibly have anything left. So
Yeah.
we say go. He lets me fly out on him. I'm trying to pin him. I mean, he ain't budging. I mean, this dude's like, even at this point, that's not happening. And he just reached over there and he turned me in a hook. And he kind of looked at me funny, like, why aren't you pulling? And I'm like, I'm going, dude. I don't hook. So he said, oh, okay. So we just rolled back out, for about a minute, and he let me hold him. And then he finally let me ease him down. So I got a lot of buddies say, yeah, you beat John Brzezinski. I said, yeah, on paper I beat John Brzezinski, but I still couldn't beat him with 2 hands after 10 minutes of pulling. So
Yeah.
that's a bad man right there. I don't understand how anybody can be that genetic, but he's unbelievable.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, man, I appreciate you being on the show. We'll do this again sometime, and like I said, as soon as I get another tournament going or whatever, whether it's a super match tournament or whether it's just a regular tournament, I'll hit you up on this bracket deal, and I'll make sure I get all my results to you and all that good stuff. And I wish you good luck this weekend, man. Go get them.
Yeah, thanks, boss.
All right, buddy. Take care. Have a good night.
Thanks.
See ya.